Good morning. Long time no see. It's good to be back. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in Los Angeles, about 9:15, and it's going to be getting up, I think, around 90 degrees. So what is that Celsius for my friends in Europe? What is that, like 36, 37 degrees Celsius, something like that? At any rate, I've been enjoying life and haven't stopped smoking my pipe. In fact, today I'll be smoking one of my favorite pipes. The Meerschaum has a good sized bowl. I was smoking it last night on my patio, balcony, and I got about an hour and a half worth of smoking time off of this, and I absolutely love it. It's really one of my favorite pipes. I've been doing that a lot lately, kind of coming home from work and going on to the balcony, lighting a candle, keeping the external light off, and just sitting there enjoying the pipe and putting in some Bluetooth earplugs or earphones, earplugs, yeah, it does keep the rest of the world out, and just chilling on tunes and enjoying the view of Los Feliz Boulevard and all of the traffic and all of the people. I guess they call that people watching. And it's really soothing. And so I do that for about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. I really enjoy it. I've always fantasized about having a porch where you could sit on the porch and in a rocking chair and just smoke a pipe and enjoy all of that kind of relaxation. I guess I sound a little bit like I'm ready to retire, which, as a matter of fact, I am. Although I don't think I'm going to be retiring anytime soon. Financially, I just found out that I could retire at the end of next year if I wanted to. And I guess that's kind of nice to know. Thinking all about that, at least initially, sounds like fun, but to some extent, I guess the concept of retirement is a fairly new one to humanity as we look at the entire spectrum of people and work. And the big question always comes up, well, what are you going to do after you retire? I've heard it over and over again said that unless you have a plan, you shouldn't retire. Otherwise, what are you going to do with your days? How are you going to fill that time? And I think if you're thinking of in terms of filling time, you probably ought not to retire, unless you just absolutely hate your job and you can't wait to get out, or there's some other reason. But I love my job, and so I look forward to going to it. I guess as long as I look forward to getting up in the morning and going to work, I guess that would be the signal for continuing on with my work. And work, at least for men, I think work is a key element of how we define ourselves, how we see ourselves in terms of our work. So perhaps I need to work on a little bit seeing myself in terms of my leisure, or maybe even smoking my pipe. So instead of being a teacher, you can also rearrange your identity to think about a pipe smoker. So at any rate, I sort of digress, which is kind of normal if you're new to joining me. And if that's not your cup of tea, I would encourage you to move on very quickly, because I kind of get into that digressive kind of mood, a shaggy dog kind of storyteller in a way, when I have a story to tell, or I think I do. It's been kind of odd being away. I used to make videos usually on Saturday morning. And it just, I don't know. My last video before my little hiatus was kind of a little goodbye to John Harden, who passed away a couple of years ago, I guess. And or a little over a year ago. I get the dates confused. And just kind of lost interest. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I just didn't really feel up to making any more videos. And so I kind of trolled around a little bit, or went around and watched other people pipe smoking videos, and that kind of tailed off too. The only thing that didn't tail off was my love of smoking pipes. That's remained pretty strong. And I do it every day. Now, as I said, more in the evenings. And good evening pipe tobacco is kind of what I was thinking about including in my presentation today. I was using, what is it, let's see if I can grab a tin of this. I got this Summerhill pipe tobacco from John Aylesbury, and it's an aromatic pipe tobacco. I'll read you what it says a little bit. Well, it's all in German, so, oh, here we go. No, it's not going to work. What I need is the Bremen pipe smoker to translate for me. So it is a very flavorful tobacco. What I really wanted to buy was the John Aylesbury 40 edition. That's really one of my favorite pipe tobaccos. And it wasn't available, it was out of stock. And so I thought I'd try this. And Aylesbury tobaccos, the ones, the aromatics, all have kind of a fruity taste to them and a kind of a nice room note. And so I've been smoking this a lot during the summer. But now as we kind of transition to the fall, more or less, and especially smoking after dinner in the evening, I got out my good old standbys, the Plum pudding, the Seattle Club Plum pudding. And it comes in a series of rough cuts, and it has this really interesting little block. I guess that's to help keep the flavoring in the tobacco. Let's see if it says, how to improve upon perfection? Well, I'm glad you asked. Sipping his favorite bourbon gave master blender Joe Langford an idea. World famous original plum pudding packed into charred oak Kentucky bourbon barrels. Kentucky bourbon barrel wood. You can smell the bourbon. No, you can't. Aged 30 days, pressed into cakes and crumble cake cut, which is what you get. I'll show you here what it sort of looks like sans the barrel wood. I don't know, probably need a little bit more light. You can see that. And it really holds the moisture very well. It's a bit of a more of a moist kind of oily pipe tobacco that burns relatively slow. You don't want to chooch on this a whole lot. Otherwise, I think you lose some of the benefits of what comes out in the smoking. So a chunk of bourbon barrel, wonderful alliteration there, rests in every tin. Indeed it does. Complex, smoky, spicy, and still positively addictive. A rather unfortunate term to use when describing pipe tobacco, I think. Plum pudding bourbon barrel aged is Joe's dream come true. And it really is a great pipe tobacco. I gotta tell you, everybody that I've talked to likes plum pudding. Plum pudding bourbon barrel aged is Joe's dream come true. Enjoy the ingredients. So here's what's in it. Latakia, Turkish Orientals, Virginias, Cavendish, and Perique. It's a really appealing mixture, I've got to tell you. It's kind of like, you know, when you roast marshmallows over a fire and they get a little carbon on them. And so you get the sweet and the carbon and all that kind of together. That's sort of what this is like a little bit. And for those of you that like bourbon, I think you'll be able to discern a little bit of a bourbon room note. Don't think it really came out in the smoking as so much, but you could kind of get a little bit of that in the room note, at least for me. And for those of you wondering what the hell a room note is, it's just the smell of the smoke. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll smoke and then I'll leave the room and then kind of go downstairs and come back up and come inside, and then you have the opportunity to kind of smell what the pipe tobacco smells like to other people. But I guess the curse of the pipe smoker is while you're smoking it, it's difficult to get a sense of what that smell actually is. The other pipe tobacco that I've run across, and this came from 2 a.m. porch, I'm going to mess this up. I wrote it down. A 2 a.m. pipe on the patio. He loves and recommended the Seattle Pipe Club Mississippi River Special Reserve. And so on his recommendation, I went out and purchased this. This was expensive. This is more than what I'm usually used to paying for tobacco. So it's very special. So how many ounces is this? 4 ounce, net 4 ounce. This was almost $50. And so this is very special. But it's really, really good and a little sweeter than the plum pudding. He mentioned that, and I thought, well, give that a try. Kind of more like an aromatic. But it's a really nice combination. So far, these two have been my go-tos. Let me read you the description on the tin, and then I'll show you a little bit of what it looks like. It's hard to see. It comes in a big plug, a big square plug. Looks like a brownie. Alrighty, it says, I've been dreaming of this special reserve edition of Mississippi River for a long time. It's my treat for all of you who love Mississippi River. Now, I've never tried the regular Mississippi River, which I might do. We found the rarest leaf for my special reserve. It's pressed in cakes, or brownies, aged longer and cut into plugs for you to slice or crumble as you please. This is my favorite way to enjoy pressed tobacco. The Virginia in this blend is some of the best I've ever smoked. And boy, that is really true. And you can immediately get the sweetness of the Virginias in this particular pipe tobacco. And the rare Latakia, aged Turkish, and a bit of St. James Perique make me very happy too. So you can see kind of the parallel that goes on here with the plum pudding. So they both have a kind of smoky sweetness to them. This one's a little bit sweeter. And in that respect, I think is closer to what an aromatic would be, whatever that means, than the other one. But they're both very good pipe tobaccos and really good after meal pipe tobaccos. I don't know how everybody smokes. I tend to smoke my pipes after a full meal and usually have either a cup of coffee or every now and then maybe a beer. But generally speaking, I smoke them after a good full meal, and that kind of complements the meal for me. Much as a lot of people smoke pipes, you know, smoke a cigar after a big meal. My other go-to pipe tobacco for the evening is, of course, the Peterson, the Dunhill, which is now, I guess, Peterson. This has been. It was manufactured in 2016, and I've cellared this since 2017. So it's really quite nice. And so occasionally I'll go to this. I'll let you see what it looks like, and then I'll show you the other one because I know I promised to show you that as well. So there's the Peterson, and you can see some of the Virginias in there. And tends to be, I find this to be a little stronger even than the plum pudding or the Mississippi River. And so if you're a new pipe smoker, you might start to get a little lightheaded, especially if you smoke on an empty stomach. And I would recommend that if you're ever smoking a pipe tobacco and you start to feel a little lightheaded, usually it's low blood sugar. And what you want to do, one easy thing is just to take a little bit of honey, and like a tablespoon of honey, and just put it in your mouth, and it should take care of itself in pretty short order. Don't know what it is about nicotine or pipe tobacco as such that lowers the blood sugar, but I think that's the telltale sign, is the kind of, you get a little jittery and start to break out in sweats. You're getting a little OD'd on the nicotine content. So you've got to kind of be aware of that. As soon as you discern any of that, put the pipe down, because it can get quite unpleasant if you're not used to that sort of thing. But a nice tablespoon of honey and maybe backing off on the chuchin a little bit when you do have the pipe lit up can be helpful. So let me show you the Mississippi River. It's in a big plug, and instead of breaking it up, I just kind of pick at it as I want to use it, because by allowing the plug to maintain its integrity, it also keeps in the moisture. It's a little bit better of a way to keep the moisture in. So let me show this to you. This is the Mississippi River, and you can see it in there, and you really can see the Virginias as distinct from the plum pudding. You can see it's a little bit different. So that's what I've been doing with my pipes and my pipe tobacco. I don't know about you, I sort of get into a bit of a rut. It's not a rut. A rut sounds so negative. I get more into a pattern of using a particular pipe, and I'll smoke it for 2 or 3 months. I'll use that. The Meerschaum pipe, the reason I like this so much is with a Meerschaum, you don't want to get a carbon cake built up, so you're constantly cleaning it out in there to keep that from happening. And as a result, you don't get a ghost, the residual flavor or residual pipe tobacco smell. So you can go from one pipe tobacco to another, and in my experience, you don't really get that kind of residual effect. And so it's a really nice pipe to have when you're bouncing around with different tobaccos. Also, when I try a new tobacco, I typically try it using this because it gives me a fairly pure smoke. Now, some of you, I know you don't like the idea of a filter. This one has a 9mm filter on it, and I've just come to enjoy pipe smoking with filters, without filters. But this does particularly well with something that might tend to burn a little hot. Not only is it a Meerschaum, but you also have the pipe filter in there. And so that's something to think about if you might want to try that. You know, buy a pipe with a 9mm filter, see how it works for you. So what I thought I'd do, let's see, how are we doing? Yeah, burned all the way down. So I'm going to have, I think, let's have the Summer Hill. We'll get that one lit up and going. Also, these little, if you're not familiar, you can buy these little, look like little coins, as ways to keep your pipe tobacco fairly humid. So I think you want to typically do that. I know there are various methods for packing a pipe. I sort of just let it drop in originally, let it settle, put in a little bit more and push down a bit. Then the third or fourth, I push a little harder. And that typically works for me. All right, where is my lighter? Ah, here we go. Oh, that's nice. Nice tobacco. I don't think I've had a pipe in the morning for quite some time. Oh, there is one more thing before I take off here. There's a DVD, a movie that's out, and you might have heard of it. It's called Father the Flame. You can get it, I think, on Amazon or someplace, or directly from the distributor. And it is a wonderful video about a pipe maker, about his journey of making pipes, about the joy of smoking pipes. It's been about 4 or 5 months since I've seen it. I probably should have written down the information and been more specific about the pipe maker's name. But he's a wonderful pipe craftsman and goes over to Italy and looks at a pipe maker's process, and also goes up, I think this is part of the same process, goes up and looks at the Larson pipes and the Larson family and all about that. And so it really is an incredible little journey you go on. Very well produced, beautifully shot. And if you get a chance, I really recommend it. It was just fantastic. And also, you know, do yourself a favor while you're watching it, smoke a pipe. Well, I think we should cut this short. It's about 20 minutes now into the video. I'll try to collect my thoughts and have something a little more focused for next time, but I just wanted to get back. I just wanted to take the plunge, and if you're thinking about being a pipe presenter on the YTPC, just go ahead and do it. Turn the camera on and talk. People don't like what you say, you know, you don't need to worry about that. They'll either give you a thumbs down or they'll be on their way. Do it just to kind of connect, just to try to let everybody know you're out there, and share a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what's going on. And I'll try to put something together for next week, a little more focused, and perhaps review or just a discussion of my life and what's been going on, just a way to catch up. And I invite you to join me for a smoke at that time again as well. So thanks for stopping by, and appreciate you spending some time with me today. Take care.